a dedication towards a more sensible foreign policy.
Eli, you're saying that you feel momentum among your cause, but the latest polls show that the majority of Americans really support the decision to go to war with Iraq. And the latest numbers we have, some 76% approve of the decision. What do you think of that? What do you make of that?
Well, I think it's hard, during a time of war for many people to feel comfortable being critical of the Bush administration. But I think that the polls also show again and again that the way that this war was approached, people do not approve of, and that many people still have very serious doubts about how this will all play out, and very serious concerns that even if the war ends quickly, that the number of civilians caught up in it and the number and the winning the peace will be much more difficult.
Now, the president has put this, even in his comments in his radio address today, in very moral terms, right versus wrong. What would you say to the president if you had his ear right now?
Well, I mean, I think that there is definitely a moral aspect to this, but if the president were to listen, for example, to the leaders of his own church, the United Methodist Church has said very clearly that this is not a just war. It's not a war that falls within Christian doctrine or within the bounds of morality, because there was such a great possibility that it could have been averted through weapons inspections.
Well, thanks for your thoughts today, Eli Pariser, the International Campaign Director from MoveOn.org. It was a pleasure to speak with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, he was a part of a huge protest in New York, but we do want to remind you the size of those anti-war protests today aside, here are the polls. They do show most Americans support the Operation Iraqi Freedom. Demonstrations in support of the U.S. troops, well, they've generally been smaller, but no less heartfelt. There were several today. Pro-war rallies. They were held today in Chicago, Michigan, Tennessee, South Carolina, North Carolina, and Indiana, too.
We have some polling, Linda, that may buttress what you were saying. Overwhelmingly, Americans support, three-quarters, in fact, support the war effort in Iraq. According to the latest one, and this one just a snapshot taken Thursday night by CNN, USA Today, and Gallup, 60% of Americans strongly approve the U.S. decision to go to war. An additional 16% approve, but not as strongly. Only 15% strongly disapprove. Most Americans don't believe the war will take all that long, though they do think it will last longer than a week. More than 60% of the people surveyed don't expect it to go beyond 3 months. Only 8% say it will last longer than a year. Americans also don't expect a lot of casualties. 41% of those polled believe fewer than 100 members of the U.S. military will be killed. Only 11% say thousands will lose their lives. And Americans seem about evenly split on whether Iraqi President Saddam Hussein needs to be captured or killed for this war to be considered a success. 52% say he doesn't need to be killed. 43% say he does need to be killed or captured.
Over the winter, baseball all-star Roger Clemens had a chance to visit U.S. troops in the Persian Gulf.